This train and bound for glory, this train and bound for glory, this train.
Hey there, my name's David Mays, your host for this edition of Along the Model Railroad Line program where we talk about the fun you have playing with trains. And of course, I'm having some fun. I hope you're having some fun with your trains too. Do a little show today, talk about how I did the detailing on this flat car. I took a flat car that I bought off eBay and made some changes to it. Basically, replaced the original decking with some wood decking made out of some individual pieces of wood. Basically, replaced the original decking with, like I said, some individual pieces of wood that have been painted and weathered, stained like that, to, give what I think is an interesting looking look. Kind of weathered, wood decking on, like I said, a flat car. I mean, a lot of cars, like here in this train, nothing special about them. They're kind of, some are weathered, others are still kind of more or less straight out of the box, but they kind of blend together, so you kind of get this, effect where everything kind of looks right. But it's still nice every now and then. I may do something like this where you got something that stands out just a little bit, kind of get some extra detailings on there. What I invite you to do is let's climb aboard, take another trip along the Model Railroad Line, and through a little bit of video magic, I'll go back and show you how I created this decking on this flat car. Alrighty, let's go and get started. Let me show you what I'm going to be doing. I've got this other kit here to show you real quick. There you go. So, cars of the Roaring 20s. The kit, this is for a wood, basically wood box car with steel frame. The car itself is actually, what it shows there on the box. Eventually going to build this and probably turn it into a video series also. There you go. Like I said, the company produced, like I said, a series of kits back, the 50s through the 70s. Eventually, Walther's company took over it, bought them out, whatever. And then after a while, of course, the kits kind of went away because, kind of went out of style. Most people were starting to get more interested in, say, building the plastic kits or radio run or whatever. But these kits are still available. I mean, I was checking on eBay before I started videos, like a couple hundred kits on there. Both the flat car and the box cars, and also they produced a series of these heavy-duty trucks, kind of 18-wheelers or dump trucks, which were definitely popular back when they were new. And actually, they're still nice-looking trucks. I'm still making the nice-looking models. But anyway. Story behind this car, it is again a Ulrich kit. I bought it off eBay, already assembled, but I ended up having to do some work on it. What I ended up doing, probably the biggest thing was, end up redoing the couplers. The original coupler boxes had been modified. I mean, the original way the kit was made, instead of, say, putting the couplers in from the bottom like this, and then putting a lid on it, instead you had to install the couplers in from above and then put the decking on top of that to hold them on. Well, whoever had this car previously had modified the coupler boxes in such a way I really couldn't get a coupler to stay in there. And I played with it for a while, trying to figure out how I get it, say, key number 5 going there, trying to drill holes, try and get the coupler box going there. And after a while, I decided, okay, this is more troll's worth, so I just ended up taking this razor saw and just cutting the old box out. Razor saw, motor tool, things like that, and then glued in here. It's one of these here, KD number 142 couplers. They're one of their whisker couplers. And it's the so-called offset shank. The shank is kind of going up, like you can see there in the picture right there. And what I ended up doing is just taking the box and just gluing it in there. It's actually glued to the deck right here. Glued the deck back in and then glued the coupler back in. And ideally, you probably prefer not, to be gluing the couplers in. But at the time, it was easier than trying to drill a hole and throw up a screw through there because there's really nothing here for the screw to bite into. So, like I said, ideally a screw or mechanical connection would be better. But in practice, it should work fine. I mean, but the car itself is selected for the Southern Pacific. Information I have suggests that Southern Pacific did have some cars that look like this, where has a straight side sill with a fishblade underframe there in the middle. Well, I really found you like that car. Basically, probably a style that was built back, say, in the teens and the 1920s. And like I said, and the Southern Pacific car even had this style of trucks on it. These so-called T-section Bettendorf trucks. It kind of, I'm not sure how well that shows up, but it's kind of almost a diamond shape right there. And so it's like, oh, cool. It's actually appropriate. So there is something about these older kits that does kind of appeal to me. I don't have a bunch of them, but like I said, I got a couple here. I'm trying to work on them. Right, the big change I want to do on this car though is I'm going to come back and redo this deck. Now, like I said, you know, these older kits, I get a hold and kind of feel a little guilty cutting up on them. But like saying, I had the issue with the couplers, so it's like, okay, I'm going to change out the couplers, go and make some other changes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here and take some pieces of strip wood. This one's from Midwest Products Incorporated. It's basically packaged strip wood. So sure you can see that what size it is. It's not, you know, it's not a scale size, but it comes out just a hair bigger than, you know, what HO scale 2x6 would be. And apparently a lot of roads did use 2x6s for their, you know, flat car decks. Apparently a lot of other roads, you know, might have preferred using 2x8s or even 3x8s. Okay, but like I said, what I'm gonna do is kind of, like I said, cut up some pieces of strip wood, go, you know, color it, appropriate weathered wood look, cut it up into pieces, and just go and start gluing those on there. So that's going to be the subject of this video. So give me a couple of minutes, we move the camera, do a couple of quick things, and we'll get started. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to do a little prep work here on the existing deck here on this flat car. What I want to do is I'm actually going to go and paint it, basically the black color. The theory being that paint it black, put the boards on there. If there's any gaps in the boards, it'll look dark, you know, black or whatever, as opposed to seeing some sort of wood color. So my thing is, like I said, just get in here some black paint, just paint that at the very least along the edges, and could leave the middle unpainted. Well, most likely just go and paint it, and then when I come back, add the boards. Of course, again, if you know, it'll prevent, you know, from seeing any, you know, wood color, you know, there along the edge. Something, you know, a little simple thing. So here, just using some Apple Barrel brand black acrylic paint, just cheap paint. You're just gonna shake that up a little bit. There you go, nothing fancy. There you go. Set that aside. Take a brush, nothing fancy. You can just dip it there into the lid. Set that aside. And what I'm gonna do here, you know, of course, just paint along the edge here. There you go. Try and kind of catch that little lip right there. Not really worried about getting paint on the side sill. I mean, it'll be basically where I'm getting it here on the side sill. It'll be covered over by the pieces of wood, the planking. And of course, you know, especially for it really, you know, let it dry, but before it really sets up, probably get in there and just kind of scrape some of that way, you know, dull knife blade or something. Let's do that. Do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, looking good. Take that track out of the way. Alrighty. Just give that a minute to dry. Alrighty. Show you now what I'm going to be doing next. Got some materials laid out. Again, got Ulrich flat car. Going to be covering this with some, you know, wood strips here. You know, create a wooden deck that's probably more, you know, fits on the car better. I'm going to be, you know, cutting up this strip wood here. This is, I think I showed you this earlier, basically Midwest brand products company, scale lumber for various things. The size here comes out to 0.0208 by 0.625 inches. Okay, you know, in HO it's approximately, you know, it's approximately a 2x6, maybe just slightly bigger. And okay, a good product. Went ahead and did a little math, figured out how many pieces I need. Basically, what I'm going to be needing to do is got 8 pieces here, which I'm going to be, first thing I'm basically going to color them, and then I'll actually cut them up to actually go here on the deck. You know, do a little math off camera. So for right now, show you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to set that aside for right now. Don't think I need a ruler now. Reach over here, grab a paper towel. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of this paint right here, basically again some of this, cheap latex paint, got Walmart, Michaels, whatever. Again, this Apple Barrel by Plaid, acrylic, matte acrylic paint. This says here the color is granite gray, so it's kind of a grayish color wood might turn when it's been out in the weather for a long time. Any ideas with these, flat card decks? Most times they just, put, just regular wood on there. I think I was talking about this earlier about how the railroad seemed to like to use odd sizes for the lumber, like that. This like it works out to approximately 2 by 6. A lot of information suggests maybe 3 by 8 were used, but this, for my purpose, is close enough, and already had a bunch of it anyway. So start out though, just gonna shake it up a little bit. There you go. I'll make sure that's folded. There you go. I'm not sure how well that shows up. There we go. Just do like that. Just put the ball up there against the edge of the paper and just, kind of do like that. There you go. Get a nice little dot on there. Just kind of do like that. Put that aside. Grab a piece of strip wood. There we go. And there you go. Just pull it through like that. There you go. Get that nice gray effect. Go ahead and turn that around, get the other end. There you go. Like I said, my math says I need eight pieces here. Now I'm going to go and do this again. Just pull it through a little more. There we go. Don't have to get it all even. If anything, a little bit of variation might be a little more interesting. So just sit back, we're going to do all this, get this all done, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Check that up. Move that out of the way. And, get up there real quick. Okay. And one more. There we go. Doesn't have to be all uniform colors. Actually, like that, have a little bit of variation. There you go. Like that. There you go. There we go. Okay. Now, throw away that paper towel. And what I'm going to do next, grab another paper towel with some darker paint. Again, something. It's a different brand paint, but same idea. Some cheap acrylic paint. This one's color is called zinc. So you get more of a dark, blackish gray color, like that. There we go. Open that up. Put that there. Careful with the paper towels. There you go. I'm going to repeat this. There you go. Okay, set that aside, but get the idea. Get these various different colors, shades, and when you cut them up, for the make the flat car deck, we'll be able to get some variations through here. There. Of course, you got different sizes, different colors of the different sides. Let me go wash my hands. Kind of rearrange things a little bit. We'll move on to the next stage. Okay, moving along here. Show you what I'm going to be doing next. Got all these strips of strip wood already painted, stained, got them ready to be used on the flat car deck. Next thing is going to go and cut them apart. I'm actually going to be laying on the deck here like this. Got this one piece here already cut to size, make sure it fits. Took some measurements here. Move this out of the way a minute. This deck is roughly, between the stake pockets, it's roughly 9 feet, 2.5 inches, okay? And what I'm going to do is, like I said, cut up these pieces of strip wood into this size. I've already got this one piece of cut just to make sure it fits. Just put that aside. And what I'm going to do, set that aside for right now. I'm going to get out my handy chopper. There you go. You've probably seen one of these made by a company called Northwest Short Line. Been around for years. Real handy tool. But what I need to do, like I said, I already measured this width. I need to, of course, set the distance from, here's the razor blade that you use, chopping, and this little thing here that helps kind of set the distance. And what I did, and set that aside, I'll just show you how I did this. Handy way if you got the tools. Got this caliper right here. Again, a handy tool to have when building things. And what I did here, just do like that. Got down here and just kind of squeeze this in together like that. Get the width. And this will give you a pretty accurate, measure of how wide the deck is. And just carefully pull that back out. Again, set that aside. Bring this over here. Lift this up. Here's going to loosen up this little clamp that's helping hold that in place. Set that down like that under the blade. And bring the blade down gently. Don't want to come too hard. It'll damage this little extension right here on the caliper. Okay, and just kind of push that block into place. I have to push this down, make sure it'll touch, and come back here and clamp that down. There you go. And now we got the distance, the measurement for, between, from the blade to the block, which when I cut the boards should match the width of the flat car deck. Okay. Now the next thing to do is start cutting stuff up. Now what I'm going to do here, let's do a little test run. Got this one piece here. Use it kind of a sacrificial test piece. Just make sure the measurements match up. So just lift the cutter up, push that down in there. Make sure it's up against the block. Put my finger there, help hold it in place. Of course, be careful where I put my fingers because there's a razor blade right here. Just kind of turn that a little bit. Get that there. Then just push this down and there it goes. Cuts right through. Put that piece aside for a second. Now we got this little piece here, like that. Set that aside. Bring the flat car back over. And just set that there. Kind of use my fingers, kind of get it centered. I mean, look at it, I can see it maybe just slightly short. So I may go ahead and adjust the blade a little bit, or the block on the cutter, chopper. See, adjust this just a bit. There we go. Do that again. All right, take that out. There we go. Okay, that's close to what I want. It's almost the exact match. So take this piece, drop it in this little tub, set that aside, and sit back as I get busy cutting up some strip wood to make flat car decking. Put that there. There we go. Alrighty. Got them all cut up. Set that aside. There you go. That's what we'll be using. I do got this one piece here. Haven't cut up yet. I'm going to save that in case I need it. For some reason turned out I actually don't have enough here, but I should have more than enough here. Plus I got these, I don't know, little scraps here, which I'll save for some other project. So, alrighty. Gonna get back here. Gonna do the next thing in detailing this flat car. Got all these boards here cut up. Will be planks. Gonna go ahead and start gluing them to the deck here of this, flat car. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna be gluing these onto the deck. What I'm gonna be doing is I got a little jar here with some diluted wood glue. It's about roughly half and half, kind of like what you might use for doing scenery. Grab them out of the box here, kind of at random, like that. That'll be our first piece. And just kind of drop that right there. Kind of make sure it lines up. And gonna start it there. Just do a little test fitting. I'm gonna glue that there so it's at the edge of this wooden piece. Once I get everything put in, I'll come back and may add one more piece along the edge here, probably using something like some contact cement or super glue. Right now, the way it looks, it's lined up. Well, again, I got the little square here. It starts out kind of a little crooked on one end, and then as the boards are glued on, it may kind of cause everything to skew. Just a little cheap brush here, just put that in there, and just kind of put a little bit right along here. There we go. Doesn't have to be a lot. Let's do that. Okay, just drop that on there. There we go. And use the tweezers, kind of move it around, get it in place. And we got to kind of get in here close. Get back here with a square. Just use that push up against the board carefully. There we go. And double check. Like I said, measure twice, cut once. In this case, measure twice, glue once. Alright, now it looks pretty straight. So let's get that out of the way. And just tuck the next thing. And a little more glue. Let's go ahead and spread a little bit on here like that. Grab another board. Just take that there and just drop it in place right next to the other one. Here we go. Thumb and finger help hold everything in place. Just push that board up there. Okay. Double check with a square. Just make sure everything's lining up. Alright, looks good. There we go. Looks good. Kind of do a little eyeball check. Again, look, everything looks right. Take this brush, kind of move some of the glue around. Got a little bit up under the board. It's not quite setting up yet. Yeah. Looks good. Make sure everything's lining up. There you go. Nice 90-degree angle. Grab that board. Drop it in place. Once everything's lined up, the glue sits up. I think it'll be just fine. Again, one more time with this. Do this from this side. Yeah, looks real good. Okay, so guess right now just sit back and relax. I'm going to start applying boards. Basically, go from one end to the other, and just a little more glue and water mixture. tuck that in there. Okay, make sure everything's lining up. Okay, here's add just a little more glue and water mixture, kind of tuck it in there along the edge. Oop. Careful, don't push too hard. Okay, pretty good. I actually got some pieces of wood left over. Save those for another project. Just drop them back in here. So for right now, I'm just going to stop a minute, let all this stuff dry, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, got one more thing I'm going to do here on the deck. If you look close, there's actually want to put one more board here on this end. Okay, it's okay on this end, but on this end, what you got there is the insole, which is basically metal, and the wood glue I was using could have worked, but probably not well. That piece will end up popping loose at some point. So what I'm going to do, just get out a little bit of super glue and use that to hold that one board on. Here. We'll go right there. Got 3 boards left. Let's just pick something at random, and here, let's go with the middle one. May not, it'll do. Got some nice looking detail on it. There we go. Kind of 6 1/2 does the other, which side go with. But anyway, let that be right there. And get some CA acrylic glue, so-called super glue. This has to be some Loctite. Gonna use that. And just squeeze that on there. Get in close. Just put a little dab there right along that edge. A couple places. Let's see. Kind of squeezing carefully. There you go. Just a little bit there. Put a little bit over here. Okay. Set that aside. Grab some tweezers. Just reach in here. Just drop that on there, right there in that spot there. There you go. Tuck it up in there. Make sure everything's lining up. Here, got a second pair of tweezers here. Just do that. Just kind of hold that down like that and like that. Just give the glue a second to set up. Okay. Alrighty, looking good. Alrighty. Looking good. Alright. Okay. Looks good to me. Here. Knock some dust off of there. Okay. Now, practical purpose, the deck's done. There's a couple other little details that I can do here, and give me a minute. I'm going to go offline, off camera for a minute. Let me set up a couple things. I'll come back and show you what I'm going to do. Okay, let me show you what I've done here. What work I did. Did a couple things off camera. Went back and added a brake wheel. Now, like I said, I added a brake wheel. The brake wheel itself is a leftover from a Tichy train group car kit that I had. Basically, I glued it to a piece of brass wire using the super glue, the gel type super glue. Then I went back in and did some, painted it, used some Tamiya, flat black paint. Worked real good. Didn't really have any paint available that may have matched the sides here, which is more of a boxcar, a dark red color. But I said the black will do. And also, some of the underframe is black also, so I went back and kind of touched up the paint on it. Here. I mean, kind of take a look, see how detailing came out, how I got all these individual boards, different rates of weathering. I mean, right now I'm going to leave it as it is, though I may come back and add some more weathering, something maybe just kind of tone some of it down a little bit so it kind of blends, blends together a little better. But overall, I like the way it came out. So I hope you enjoyed this little trip along the Morrow line. Like I said, I had a chance to tell you the story how I made the decking on this flat car. Got some plans for some future projects, maybe kind of along the same line, kind of a little adding extra detailing, freight cars, other things. And also plans to do some more videos. Get back to work on this switching layout. I've kind of been busy with other things. But like I said, I want to do some more. And invite you to come tag along and watch, see how I'm doing. Again, thank you all for support. All the likes and subscribes I've been getting, and certainly encourage you, if you haven't already, go ahead and do that. Kind of helps support the channel, helps make sure you hear about future projects when we post stuff. And again, it's nothing, it's just a little pat on the back, encouraging me, kind of, feel encouraged, feel loved and supported, and doing this, doing these videos. Express my own, interest in the hobby, model railroading. So, okay, with that, again, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon. We'll climb aboard, take another trip along the model railroad line. In the meantime, you'll go out and have some fun with your own trains. We'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
This train and bound for glory, this train